What's happening, everyone? This is Uncle Devin, the children's drum cushionist, and I am so glad that you're here joining us again for another edition of We Nation Podcast. We Nation stands for Watoto Entertainment and Education, and Watoto is a Swahili word for children. That means we bring you the best in family-friendly global beats for little feet, and it's a part of a 24/7 we say online children's music radio station that features R&B, hip hop, funk, jazz, reggae, go-go, calypso, and African world rhythms, all from around the world. So we're so glad that you can join us. You can always go and find us at Roku TV, Amazon Fire, Hey Google, Amazon Alexa, and then the podcast is available pretty much in everywhere that podcasts are available. So you can go to and check those out. And I am so honored that you're here today because we have some awesome guests with you. Now, you all know, if you've been watching the show, that I'm from Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. has its own official music. That's right. It's called go-go music. You've heard me play it. You've heard us talk about it. But today we're going to really get into even a scientific approach to go-go music and how go-go music really impacts our brain. Have you ever thought about that? How does music impact our brain? Well, we have an awesome professor, doctor, who has come to really shed a whole lot of light about this in a very fun way. See, science doesn't have to be boring. No, science is fun. And so we are so happy to have on as a guest today, the one and only Dr. Jessica Phillip-Silver coming to us to We Nation. Let's give her a round of applause. Yay. Welcome to We Nation.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure for me to be here.
Great. And I'm going to bring your musical partner with you in just a moment, but I want to talk to you first, just to talk to you a little bit more talk to the audience, tell a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, so I am a music neuroscientist, which means that for a number of years I've been studying how music grows our brains and how music affects our brains throughout our lives. And my doctoral work was really focused in infancy. So a lot of the work that I've done has been in early childhood, but I'm interested in particular, the power of rhythm to really grow our brains as well as to promote healing. And so I only came to Washington, D.C. 12 years ago, but I, of course, then became familiar with go-go music, not having come from the go-go community or from Washington, D.C., but having a respect and appreciation for the power, especially of complex rhythms on our brains. And that's really what brought me to create this project that we're going to talk about.
Well, before we even get into that, can you just explain the impact of that music have on children? Since you mentioned that you focus on early childhood, what impact does music have on the child's brain, let's say between 0 and 5 or something to that extent?
Yeah, the ages of 0 to about 6 years are really the stage of the most growth of the brain. So a lot of structural growth happens then, and a lot of functional connectivity is developing, meaning that, not just is the brain growing in size, but all of the different regions of the brain that have their own functions are beginning to get connected and wired up with each other and communicate with each other. And one of the most interesting things about the musical brain is that it's not one area in the brain. So you can't point to one spot in the brain and say that's the music area. In fact, there's a whole huge network of regions that are involved in our brains when we listen to and process music, like rhythm and all the other aspects of music that are so important to us. And so in infancy, these different regions are learning how to take in all the information through our different senses, through what we hear, through what we feel when we move our bodies, as well as emotional and social aspects of music experience. So it really is a very, very, music is actually the activity that engages more areas of the human brain than any other activity that humans do.
Wow. Well, I kind of created a word that I borrowed part of the word from a Georgetown study. It was called adultification, but I have what is called music adultification. And that's where I say that we force children to listen to inappropriate adult music, or those situations where we force children to listen to inappropriate adult music instead of age appropriate and culturally relevant music. Talk about the impact of, let's say, a parent that innocently don't even know that they may be playing certain songs that may not be songs that they may listen to that may not necessarily be helpful for children. What type of impact could that
Yeah,
have on them?
that's a really good question. I mean, I think I don't know that there's a lot of empirical research on looking at negative effects of music content, but what we do have a lot of research on is understanding what are the fundamental features of music that infants and young children can process. So we have an idea, like part of what you're getting at is, I feel like there's a couple of really important aspects. One is the content, the words, the subject matter. Sometimes their songs and genres of music tackle subjects that young children are not quite ready to process yet at a cognitive or an emotional level. And so I feel like individual families and communities need to work around that to support children's understanding, because music is a form of expression and communication of what a culture lived and goes through. And so while children will grow up and they'll need to get there, of course, it's up to individual families and communities to make sure that they're getting there as they're ready, as they mature. But another aspect of it is just what aspects of musical sound children can perceive, right? And so, and this is an area where I think there's a lot more of scientific research. And we know, for example, that children are capable of perceiving rhythms, even complex rhythms. And they are capable of interpreting and perceiving tempo and mode, major and minor. They can identify the emotional qualities of different musical scales and chords and things like that. So there's you and I talked about this before, and I feel like there is a risk of exposure to music that is too adult in terms of content matter and maybe just overall information load. And at the same time, one of the things that I've been looking at in my research, or what I think about as a researcher and as a mother, is the risk of over infantilization of music, right? So stripping music of its aesthetic qualities with the idea that the child's brain can't appreciate the aesthetics, right? And so when you and I, what I find really interesting about these two perspectives is that, you know, we're really looking for kind of a sweet spot in the middle where we're not underestimating the capacity of the child's brain to be enculturated through music, for their brain to be attuned to different musical cultures, different rhythm structures, different harmonic structures, right? Different languages that are used to sing in music. And but at the same time that we don't push them too far, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's one of the things that research can help us to understand.
And thank you for that, because that's important for us not to just throw everything out and just say that there is that balance that we have to find. And also, I want to thank you for having the respect for the local DC go-go music. And one of the ways you've done that is to bring on an awesome artist and a musician and someone that is just very versed in so many different styles of music, Dante Pope. So I want to welcome Dante Pope to We Nation Podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. And Dante, tell us a little bit about yourself. And because I've looked at your videos and I've seen the video that you all have put together, and I'm gonna share a little bit about that in a moment. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
I'm a vocalist, composer. I would call myself a multi-discipline, multi-genre musician. From the city of Chicago. I've been in DC since 2007. And since then have kind of traversed a traditional path, in that I just really didn't say no to many opportunities. So the doors opened up for me within the local community through go-go. Actually, I was a background singer for a group called Black Alley. They're a pretty notable group out of
Oh yeah.
DC for about 3 years, and that put me into um, kind of the run of learning about backyard and I would say a lot more of the modern current groups that are kind of taking it over for the young folks. And then after singing with them, toured with a couple of national artists, played and traveled around the world a little bit. And now I'm back home working with Dr. Jessica PhillipSilver and raising
Yes.
a 6-month-old with my wife, man. So
Oh,
that's where I am.
congratulations. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm gonna ask, and then Dr. Silver, you can talk about this partnership. Talk a little bit about what are you doing specifically with Go-Go Music?
So a couple of years ago, I was fortunate to be awarded a grant from the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities because I wanted to create a show that really teaches children and families about the power of rhythm to grow our brains and to help children really find the source of their power as well as their connection and community. This happened, the grant was awarded just before the pandemic set in. And the first thing I did when I got it before I got it actually, is I went to Dante and I said, I have this idea, but I need you. And he was immediately interested, as well as my colleague and friend, Sylvia Suma, who's the founder and director of Koyaba West African Dance Theater. And so having them as team members, I wrote a show around these three key characters: Mother Dance, played by Sylvia; Father Rhythm, who's played by Dante; and the Curious Scientist, who I play. And these three characters take children on a journey through their musical brain, really exploring the original rhythm that comes from the heartbeat, where all rhythms originated, of course, in Africa, and then an exploration of how rhythms traveled throughout the world, partly due to the slave trade, and traveled through regions, including Latin America and the Caribbean in the case of go-go, and then landed in DC and turned into DC's indigenous music form, as you said, which is go-go music. And so while the show is not the story of go-go per se, it's the musical score that we created, that we wrote and that Dante arranged and produced, is inspired by go-go because we wanted to celebrate and really illustrate how complex rhythms called polyrhythms actually promote brain growth in children and healing in communities.
And so, and then Dante, you didn't talk much about it. I could tell you're a very modest person, but from what I saw you doing, I saw you on the drums. At first I thought you was a keyboard player. I saw that and I said, well, he's a good keyboard player. But then I saw you on the drums and everything there. And talk about your involvement in this particular play. What made you want to be a part of this?
Jessica and I worked together before at a arts nonprofit named Bloom Bars, and we then kind of parted ways for a while. Nothing crazy. I was on the road, and she was raising a newborn, and so we didn't see each other for a couple of years. So when we connected, it was just revisiting work that we were already doing. Prior to meeting her, I was considering going to Drexel University for music therapy. As a preacher's kid and I would say a public servant, as I moved here to work for my member of Congress, I always have a curve with anything I'm doing to try to do something of service. And so, in knowing that there was actually science behind just this passion of mine to want to work with kids and just anybody through the arts was very inspiring. So, we got together. She wrote all of the words and had her melodies. And so I just sat on the porch and listened to what she put out there, and then came home and arranged and played everything down.
Wow.
So yeah, so I studied classically, so that helped in that. Studying percussion, piano is a part of that. So drums are my main instrument, but for sake of creating my own music and for the studio, I could play keys, guitar, and just about anything, just to get that right sound.
Wonderful. And you all now also the music score is going to be a go-go children's album coming up. And in fact, you got one that's going to be coming out. One that you already have put out called Soul Beat Connection.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about that. And talk a little bit about that. What is that? Was that the first song that you came up with, or is that just happened to be one of the songs?
That's a good question. It wasn't the first song that I came up with, but to be honest, it's a little bit hard to remember now because I think Dante was really helping me work through, all the score all at once, because it was really envisioned as part of this whole project, right? That was written really to be a live stage production, and then Dante, as really a visionary in this project, realized that it would make a great album. And so Soul Beat Connection is the single because it is our sort of dedicated kids go-go song. And we were really excited about that because, Dante having, had years of experience in the field of go-go and having a real feel for the roots of the rhythms, he was able to, as he said, he was able to take my idea, my melody, my lyrics, and really genuinely give it what it needed in order for us to be able to offer truly a go-go song to children. And that song is actually the key song that Father Rhythm sings in the show, as he teaches children that, that to remember that they have their original rhythm that they shared, that they got from Mother Dance, but then they have the rhythm of their city, which is Washington, D.C. And what we're trying to share with all children in Washington, D.C., is the message to study and honor and respect the rhythms of this city, study and honor and respect where they come from, and that every child has the right, really, to experience the beautiful rhythms of go-go music.
Right.
Yeah, and the arrangement was inspired by more of Chuck Brown's presentation of go-go. I know there are different styles with the bounce beat, and, so that's why I orchestrated it with horns, and to have a little bit more of like kind of a jazz upbeat feel, as Chuck really had like big arrangements.
Right.
I know we didn't have the budget with the grant, but I was really hoping to be able to get the Beltway horns on it.
Yeah.
Brad Clement, Elijah Balbed, and Greg Boyer, who were Chuck's brass section. But it was cool to be able to mimic them using MIDI programming. So the acoustic instruments on the track are the drum set. I played the drum set, the congas, the tambourine and cowbell, but then everything else was just straight MIDI, just going through the software.
All right. Well, then let's take a listen. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and you brought in Pete Muldoon on electric guitar as well.
Oh,
that was important. You'll see him in the video as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's show a little bit of the video. This is the official video, Soul Beat Connection, featuring Dante Pope. Check this out. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Come on, all my friends. It's time to move. Get up, come on in the groove. You hear the beat? I know you got the soul. Dance with me. Now it's time to show. Hey. And this is how the story goes. You got the heartbeat of Mother Dance. She moved with you when she took you by the hand. And little did you know that she was making future plans for you to find connection. In Africa, the beat began, and then it traveled through the world in the Caribbean. Latin America, the conga played the bembe when they sang the song of connection. Come on, say soul, beat, connection. Oh, come on, say soul, beat, connection. in DC and gave the people what they need. A chocolate city giving power to the voice they plead. And let's find a connection. A connection. Let's bring it so to you. As you get older, you remember how that go-go grew.
All right, I'm gonna stop it right there for a moment. I'm gonna let I kept pausing for every now and then, but again, I want to encourage people to go to the YouTube page so you can watch the entire video. This is Soul Beat Connection featuring Dante Pope, the official music video. Awesome. First of all, you mentioned Bloom Bars, and of course, shout out to John because I'm very familiar and been up there several times. But also, I saw you all at was it Malcolm X Park and on North Capitol Street. You're a brave person, Dante, to be out in the middle of the street like that.
Yeah, and that was at the end of the shoot too. I was literally trying to rap to audio from my phone while traffic was passing. So I'm happy it synced up because that was pretty lame, man.
But no, awesome song. I love the beat, and you all captured the sound tremendously. And so, talk a little bit more about other songs that you have coming up. I think you're going to have a release in December. Talk a little bit about some of your other songs that we can expect.
Yeah, so our second release is the second single that's coming is the theme song of the show from the brain science perspective. And it's entitled Rhythm Grows Your Brain. It's by far the nerdiest song of the whole album, and it's where the character of the scientist really teaches children that as far as the brain is concerned, listening is not just about hearing and sound, but it's really about the whole body. And that's true in music with rhythm. That's what my research has looked at. But that's true in life. You know, when we think about true deep listening, it's always beyond, it always goes beyond the sound. We also know that from brain research because, for example, the study of deaf populations who are perfectly capable of experiencing music and rhythm. So that song for me was really important as a chance to share with children, you know, the brain science. And I don't know, Dante, do you want to add anything about Rhythm Grows Your Brain?
Yeah, it features a good friend of mine, Mongezi Nakata from South Africa. He actually played guitar for Fela Kuti, Lucky Dube, very, very notable guitarist that he's based here now. So it was a lot of fun to be able to work with him. And the song kind of centers the musical in that we're talking about taking it back to Africa. It features the bembe beat, which is, you know, a rhythm that comes from the Congo, but also is played all around West Africa with the cowbell and the djembe orchestra. So I'm just excited that we're able to really tell a sonic story without, even if we don't have a whole explanation. If you just press play and listen to all the songs that will be on there, you're going to get a different style and get a bunch of different instruments that kids can, you know, try to explore for themselves. And it's cool that all of these instruments happen to be used in a go-go band.
Yes.
But come from other places and have their own stories, and then are now incorporated in the story of Washington, D.C.
All right. And for those who are just tuning in, I am Uncle Devin, the children's drum cushionist. You are watching or listening to We Nation podcast with my awesome guest that we have today, Dr. Jennifer Phillip-Silver and Dante Pope. And we're talking about growingbrains.co, C-O, or more so Finding Rhythm, the musical. And now talk a little bit about that. If someone wants to see that musical, what can they do to see that?
Well, so we had the premiere of the musical in a year ago in December, and it was a virtual premiere, and we at the moment we're not showing it, but we are. It's being made available to performance centers and to schools. And so what I'm actually working on at the moment is actually a curriculum based on the show to bring into DCPS so that we can have, but not just the entertainment of the show, but lessons and workshops and resources for the teachers so that the children can learn it, they can play it, they can appreciate the brain science as well as the history and background of go-go rhythms. And that's something that I'm doing in collaboration with my teaching artist colleagues. But what we're really excited about, in addition to that, to seeing the show, is just listening to the show. And that is what's going to happen early in the new year when we are able to release the full album.
Sure. And okay, and that's so we're talking about the new year 2022, that the full album will be out. And I'm so excited. I've grown up in Washington, D.C. area, was born in D.C. until I was 3, moved to Seat Pleasant, Maryland. Shout out to everybody from Seat Pleasant. Lived there, grew up in Prince George's County, went through this amazing school, music school program, but I'm back in D.C. since 2000. And so go-go music is absolutely a part of my DNA. And so I'm so thankful for you and your research, and for Dante and for the entire team to put something like this together, because it's so important to help us continue to spread the word and the importance of what we're doing. So I just want to say to you, and I thought Dante was coming back, so I brought him back in, but I see it just went back out. I'm not sure what's going on with the camera, but that's okay. But I just want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. I wish you nothing but success. I know we're going to be in contact, and we're going to stay in contact for a long while, because we got a lot in common. And I'm so intrigued about the way that and the impact that music plays on the brain. So I want to congratulate both of you all for a job well done so far, and looking forward to even more wonderful things that you all going to team up with to bring to our community. So thank you so much for everything that you all have provided. And Dr. Jessica, can you also share your social, the best way that people can reach you and reach out to you about your project?
Yes, definitely. So first of all, thank you, Uncle Devin, for hosting us. We're really appreciative of the work that you put out and how you support children's brain development with music, and really highlighting rhythm. So that's something that we are here to support you in too. So really happy to make this connection. And people can follow us on Instagram at Rhythm Grows Your Brain. Mm-hmm. They can also see the single Soul Beat Connection, the song that tells us that children, that when they find their rhythm, they find connection. That can be seen on YouTube. Just look up Finding Rhythm, the musical. Mm-hmm. And then people can learn more about my research and my work at growingbrains.co. And I just want to thank again to Dante Pope for being a true creative partner in this process, as well as our whole entire team, without whom this project could never have been possible.
Well, this is great. Well, again, I thank you all, and I know sometimes we all have deadlines when we want to have stuff done, but sometimes it has to happen in its own time. So Dante, as a drummer, you know this, we can't rush the groove. So it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. So thank you all. And we'll be in contact real soon. And hopefully, I can't wait to hear the next song that comes out. In fact, I'm going to do a quick little promo for that, so that once the song is out, we'll be ready. You've already talked about the next song. Give me the name of the song again and what people can expect.
Yeah, so the song, the next single that's dropping is called Rhythm Grows Your Brain. And I'm going to let Dante tell everybody when they can come see us perform it live.
On December 14th, we will be at Franklin Park. I currently have a residency there doing a program called Go-Go Rhythms Exposed, just bringing the drums that I have that play a part in the go-go band to the park, so that the kids can both play and see them. I think it's important that kids have an understanding of the names of the instruments that are being played, and as well learn where they come from. And so on December 14th, Franklin Park, we will be at the playground area, actually performing this tune live. And so it's going to be a great time getting a chance to actually partner with Jessica live and hear her great voice and entertain some kids and families.
All right, that's it. December 14th, you got to be there.
And we'll be giving away instruments to all the kids who come. They're going to get their own homemade pair of rhythm sticks, shakers, everything they need.
So you definitely don't want to miss that. You gotta have the instruments. Okay, this is awesome, and we're going to be pushing it also on our FM station on WPFW, and our KBOO,
out in Portland, even though they're way out in Portland, they can still participate by just tuning in and making sure they go to growbrains.co, or just also follow you all on the Rhythm Grows Your Brain social media accounts. Just go to IG, Facebook, you'll find them everywhere. And YouTube, Finding Rhythm Musical. Finding Rhythm the Musical. All right. Well, again, thank you all so much. This is so awesome. I'm so excited. You all just don't know how much and how I've been looking forward to us elevating go-go music and connecting it with children, because that's what we missed in the history of DC. We haven't connected it to children. We did it to youth, teenagers, but we haven't done it to children, and you all are helping to lead that way. So thank you so much, and we will be in contact with both of you all real soon.
Thank you.
All right. Man, that was awesome. Did you all know that much about go-go music? Well, we are going to learn so much more from in hearing from them, and I'm so glad that you all took the time to really listen. And you can also hear some go-go music that we play on We Nation Radio. Just go to wenationradio.com. 24/7 children's music radio station. You can listen at any time, and it's the best. And it's age appropriate, it's culturally relevant, and it's just good for the entire family. You can also follow us on We Nation Radio, and we'll be posting more information about what Dr. Jennifer and her team will be doing as well. So just make sure you continue to follow us. But listen, I'm Uncle Devin, the children's drum cushionist, and I have to get out of here. But as I always say, and you know what the saying is, just remember this, that life is a drum, so beat it.